When you think about Japan, what comes to mind? Great economy? The traditional Japanese and Eastern culture? Sushi? Animation? Or polite people who bow you all the time? It seems people in the West already forgot how much they hated Japan just 30 years ago. If you go to film school, your professor will make you watch Ozu, and saying his film represented the Japanese culture and the beauty of Eastern art and tradition, especially the family value.
お父さん。ああ、分かってる分かってる。
But have you ever seen this side of Japan and the Japanese family?
お前、おいが無所暮らしの間、親父と毎晩つるんどったとか。言うとけな人。安田の言うとった。大股広げて、お父さんち言いよったと。
そんなこと言いません。
This film is called Vengeance is Mine, directed by Yumamura Shohei in 1979. Unlike Ozu, his films reflected on the Japanese nation and especially the negative part. An interesting fact, he was actually Ozu's student and served as AD in many Ozu's films, including Tokyo Story. In his films, we will see the old being killed by his wrong son. Just because they live in a poor village, there are not enough food for everyone. Just the old has to be sacrificed, as they can't work anymore. And even pregnant woman has to be buried alive by all the villagers, just because she stole food. Shohei is a master of metaphor and semiotics. In this scene, the train represents the modern and the technology threatening the living room of the savages. But more importantly, he uses animals to imply humanity. Pigs and people live in the underworld. Eels to people's loneliness. Snakes and people's desire of reproduction. Insert to woman's endless suffering. In Vengeance is Mine, the protagonist is the metaphor of the vengeance to the breaking of Japan's tradition and national identity in the post-war period. Vengeance is Mine is one of his representative works. It featured the journey of a serial killer. He left home to the journey of killing after just released from jail. His killing has no target but to revenge on the society and his family, particularly his father, who is a traditional Japanese Christian. Christianity has been the enemy of Japanese government since it's different to Japan's traditional culture and value. And many of the Japanese believers don't really believe in the religion as the way it is, but believe it to mentally escape from their tragedy poor life, and they escape from the ruling of the cruel Japanese government. In Vengeance of Mine, the protagonist's father was threatened by the Japanese army to give up his boat for the war in the protagonist's childhood. He was discriminated as a Christian, but threatened by the governmental force. And the young protagonist tried to protect his family's identity and property. But his father gave them away. His father gives away their boat, but also gives away their identity and honor. The young protagonist stopped to trust his weak father and the creed of the religion.
帰ろう。じゃあ、父さんは弱虫やけん。
After the war, Japan was destroyed to ruins. Everything was chaotic and everyone was poor. Japan's national pride was also ruined as those American troops that occupied Japan could basically do whatever they want. Many women became as the comfort women to make a living, but also as tools for the American soldiers to revenge on what Japan did to them during the war.
.そういうそのが好きだ嫌いだという話でありすぎないが、ああいう人についてあの人たちがちゃんと存在していることを大事にしなきゃいけないというような考え方に少し変わったんでしょうかね。どうしても単純な終わり方にはなれなくなっていきました。
The protagonist hung out with the American soldiers after the war as a way to show his rebellion. And he incidentally saved his future wife, who has a affair with his young father, as the protagonist is jailed for stealing an American jeep. And the father also finds another man to help her release her libido. The protagonist became even more angry to his family after he came back from jail. He started to revenge on everyone in the society he thinks that's responsible. He completely broke up with his family and exiled himself to the journey of revenge. But during his journey of crime, he always pretended to be the educated to delude people, which shows he knows how the society works, but just chooses to revenge on the social system and value by satirizing the educated and respected. But as he finally got arrested, he found only peace and release. His journey of crime was to revenge on the society, but also to get away from his father, who he actually hates the most.
親殺しの出来る男じゃなか。それほどの男じゃなかっちゅうか。恨みもなか人しか殺せん種類で。
As Japan took a whole lot of effort to win through modernization and industrialization, everyone seemed to participate as a gear to the national machine. As Japan became a highly civilized, modernized, and safest country with one of the strongest economies in the world, it's always good to remember it also went through the chaotic period that many things and people were left behind.
アナキーなたちは思ってますね。あまりその縦がこういう縦がの中に対してもいっぱい言いたいことあるし、非常によくわかるけれども、しかしこのような縦感が何に値するかということに関してはね、
個人の力しかないんですか。
いや、映画監督の立場でもあります。彼らに頑張れと言いたいですね。そして組織を作るのも一つの方法だが、それはどうも先が見えてるから、そうじゃなくてもね、そこにその反逆の気持ちをちゃんと持てっていうことは、僕のどの映画を見てもみんなそういうふうになってるように思います。